Hey everybody from Beantown to your town. This is the Beantown Beatdown. I'm Matthew Barris.
Gabe Shamus, also from Beantown.
That's right, and we're gonna start off a little different here. We're gonna be having some wine.
Awesome, yeah,
Sangria.
some sangria.
Right here, we're gonna do a little class. We're being a little classy here today.
Tell the folks why we're having sangria today.
Just thought we might be a little classy, you know. Plus, it's our first time having wine and stuff, so. But don't worry, we're still going to be cursing and swearing and all. Don't worry, we're not going to be bourgeois or being like, this tea, this wine. Well, of course, it's always
notes
good.
And bouquets.
Yeah, but it's always good to sniff the wine before you drink it, though. Pour a little bit in here for me. There we go. Good yellowtail. Yep. All right, so let's get into some headlines. First and foremost, UFC fight night over the weekend. Last weekend, it was phenomenal. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson put a whooping on Johnny Hendricks.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. You know, just in the first round was just doing those kicks, you know, just karate kicking, doing spinning kicks, and then, you know, getting in there with his boxing, you know, pop, 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 you know.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just in and out and in and out. He's like a fencer, you know. And I've been telling people, like, this kid is going to be the Lyoto Machida of the welterweight division. I mean, this kid could possibly be the next welterweight champion in the UFC.
Interesting.
Yes, yeah. And of course, hopefully we'll see him fight Robbie Law because he beat the number 2 contender Johnny Hendricks, former world champion, and now, you know, we'll hopefully see that fight go down sometime in the near future.
Awesome.
Yeah. Also, another news from that fight last night, we also learned the first opponent for CM Punk to make his UFC debut against Mickey Bell. I don't know much about Mickey Bell. He fought in the preliminary fights. I didn't see it, but I'm still gonna go with CM Punk on this one. You know, I think this could be a make or break thing for CM Punk, and CM Punk says he wants to make all the doubters wrong. He wants to prove them wrong and stuff, and. You know, and it could have come at a better timing now because with Daniel Bryan retiring from the WWE due to concussions and stuff. Of course, he was out for a while due to injury, and just announced his retirement on Raw this past Monday. So, you know, so I'm sure Punk is going to do it for not only his best friend Daniel Bryan, but for his wife AJ Lee, who was also a wrestler, and for all the professional wrestlers.
Yeah,
exactly.
Awesome.
And last but not least, a little update on Ronda Rousey. She is expected back in November.
Okay.
Yeah, so she'll fight the winner of next month's UFC 197 between Holly Holmes and Miesha Tate. Personally, I hope it's Holly Holm that wins. Nothing against Miesha Tate. I mean, I had a lot of sexy dreams about her, but you know, I want to see Holmes and Ronda Rousey Part 2. I don't think anybody's interested in Tate and Rousey 3. So, you know, hopefully we'll get that rematch.
All right, awesome. And what a way to get them rematch too, right? You know, because the Holm then held her own with Tate. You know, that'd be a pretty cool way for it to come back to full circle. You know. Oh
yeah, exactly. So what do we have for Get Over Yourself?
Yep. So, you know, I've been talking a lot about, kind of, you know, not chiming in all the time, you know, not harassing people online, all that type of stuff. So, to kind of go along with all of that, Get Over Yourself, I'm going to be talking about, you know, how it can actually be pretty powerful, or it can actually give you the upper hand to hold back in the right situations. You know, a lot of our society is you know is built on that you have to say something back, or you have to comment something back, or you know, and I understand the impulse. You know, I'm right there with you when it comes to oh, that asshole said something to me, I have to say something back. I'm right there with you, and I've actually had in the past I've had a lot of problems with with asserting myself, standing up for myself, and and so sometimes, especially lately, I've had this thing where where I have to be different than I've been before, and so therefore I have to assert myself and have to say something. I do think that that's definitely true, but it's not it's not always the case, and I've been dealing with that at my job, actually. There's my boss can be very critical, hard to please, and one of the things I had to do was like decide that it doesn't matter whether or not I'm friends with this person. That's something I was like, I was putting way too much effort in, and I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter if we don't say anything besides hello when I first walk in. That's fine with me. That's going to be on that person. That's not going to be on me. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I mean that's the thing. Like that happens, like especially in team sports when you always hear about the coach and the player not getting along. It's like, okay, we don't have to be friends. We don't have to go out to dinner or exchange Christmas cards.
Right.
But it's like, hey, just give me a little respect.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's what it comes down to. It comes down to respect. So again, I understand that impulse. If someone truly outright disrespects you, then yes, you have to say something. You have to draw the line. But if it comes down to they probably respect me, but they don't say it, or they find something wrong with everything I do. Eventually one of you has to be the bigger person, and so that's when I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter if this person is going to be completely critical every time she opens her mouth. I'd rather that nothing is said. That's okay with me.
Sounds like she needs a good fuck.
Yep, well, that's her personal business, and hopefully she gets it. But yeah, anyway, so there's a lot of things that we've seen in the movies where there just gets into a shouting match and that type of thing, and we all love those movies where families just have all these problems and it like blows up,
or better yet, like the Bronx is Burning, that little mini series ESPN did on the Yankees, and around the same time of the Son of Sam thing, and
right.
Steinbrenner and Billy Martin were going at it, and Billy Martin's like, I'm the manager, and I don't manage it any way I want to manage it, and he goes, that's it, you little shit, you're fired. He goes, you're firing me? He goes, yes, you're fired. He goes, fine, fire me. And as he's walking away, he goes, just leave me the hell alone. And he goes, all right, then you're fired. And he goes, Yogi, you're the manager. And Yogi Bear's just like, whatever.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said for the person that's bombastic and whatever, and the whole back and forth. And trust me, a lot of times I want to be that person. But I think especially lately, there's a lot to be said for the person that's in the middle and is listening to both people. There's the new revamp of the X-Files, which I'm super psyched on, and I loved it back in the day. I love that they're bringing it back now, and one of the interesting things to me is that I don't want to give away too much, but Mulder has found out that a lot of things that he thought he knew again might be a lie, and that, these alien phenomena that he's looking at, that even though aliens exist, there's this whole thing that that there might be a shadow government that's using the technology they raided from aliens to for their own, evil purposes. And so anyway, both him and this sort of conspiracy theory TV personality are talking about this in this house, and they're talking, and and Mulder is just fuming with all the stuff that that he's even when he thought he was being cutting edge, chasing the aliens, he was like, so much of it was a lie. What if it was actually a way for them to reverse engineer this technology, to stockpile it, blah blah. And so he's talking about that, and then the TV personality, of course, is talking about that even weather phenomenons, they have a hand in it. It's false. It's completely false, and they do the false flag attacks to get us all riled up and stop thinking, stop protecting our rights, that type of thing. And so obviously I kind of agree with those with that way of thinking, but Scully is there, and she's like looking back and forth between them. She's got just the steely eye, looking here, looking there. I'm like, yeah. So anyway, what she says in a very calm voice is that this is. She uses a big word at one point. It's techno-paranoia. This is techno-paranoia, this is psychobabble, and she's like, it's so, I'm going to say it the way she says it, because it sounds bombastic, but it's actually, she says it in a very calm, collected way. This is it's psycho-paranoia that's so stupid, it borders on being treasonous.
Wow.
Yep. And so, she's saying, you can't say these things. You cannot say these things. It would be irresponsible to say it. So anyway, it's not that I agree with her, but I'm glad that she's like the one in the room that listened to both of them and tried to didn't interject right away and tried to draw her conclusion from that. And someone does, even though I think that it is true, there's a shadow government and there's all sorts of evil things going on, someone has to say it, that not everything should be shouted from the rooftops, that we have to find a more responsible way to go forward.
Yeah, exactly. And also, by the way, you think in the miniseries they're finally gonna fuck?
That's what everyone's talking about.
Yeah, because I also heard that in real life. When the show was like about to premiere and stuff, I heard like David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson, they were actually dating in real life now.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Right. So yeah, I don't know about that, if that's true, but yeah, I think I don't know. I think the stage is definitely set for them to to be even more like intimate with each other. There actually is a scene in this first episode I'm talking about where right before all this happens, where she like comes to him and she's like, what is with you, Mulder? You're like sliding off the rails, and he's like, I have to know that this happened, and blah blah, and anyway, so she's like there to comfort him, you know what I mean? So I think there's definitely innuendo of that type of stuff.
Want some more wine?
Yep.
Yeah, this is the last of it right there.
Okay.
But also, as far as talking, like on the internet, what you said about responding back and stuff. I mean,
right.
At some point you just can't. You can't. Well, you can't always do it all the time. It's
yes.
It reminds me of what Adam Carolla does, because like Adam, he doesn't respond back on the internet, and stuff like he doesn't type back. He goes, he's actually said this in a politically incorrect way. He says like, listen, don't dance with the tards. Don't do the retard dance.
Mm-hmm.
So
that is politically incorrect, of course, but that's a good kind of way to say that they can bring you down to their level. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
You think I have to respond. I have to smack them down, right? Again, that's sometimes true, but especially with all the, like I talked about last time, the internet bullying and blah blah, all this commenting, the long stream of commenting. I've done that. I've done the comment wars, and there's nothing there. There's nothing there. I actually had to, got really deep into a political argument with this one person on Comment Wars once, and I was just, And anyway, they finally just said the same thing that they had said all the way back in the beginning, and I was like, you know what? Good. Thank you for for just going back to the very beginning, showing me you haven't learned a thing at all. Because then I can wash my hands clean, knowing that this is not going to go anywhere.
Yeah. Exactly.
John Voight is actually, there's something I heard about how John Voight unfortunately is kind of sliding down this crazy path where people on Twitter make fun of him and he like just lashes out. Well, you're an idiot. You're this and that. Like I never said this. Why would you say that I said this? Blah blah blah. And
his daughter Angie is just like, Dad.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say she must have so much more sense than him, and she must, everyone has an opinion on Angelina Jolie, but she must have so much more sense to be like, you know what, I'm not gonna get into this shit with them, and
the younger Angelina Jolie, like before, I think around the time before she met Billy Bob, around the same time she met Billy Bob, and before she met Brad Pitt, she would have been like, fuck you and all this stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
But now because she's an ambassador, it's more like, I gotta watch the language.
Right, exactly. And not even that she's an ambassador, it's just that she's that's one thing, but she's a well-known figure that, like I said, everyone has an opinion of. So it would actually bring her down to try and respond to each one of these things. And so anyway, her father's going through it, and you can just see I watched someone on YouTube commenting on all this commenting, and they were like, he's got to be the most thin-skinned man alive to try and to say that like every idiot on Twitter is
especially because like he's an Academy Award winning actor.
Exactly.
And, he's still a great actor. I mean, right now he's on Ray Donovan. He's done a phenomenal job on that show.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, the thing is, it will just make you weaker. That's the kind of my takeaway from all this. Don't as he said, in a politically incorrect way, don't dance with the retards.
Yeah.
The idea is that you really, even if you feel like you're smacking them down, blah blah blah, you really are stooping to their level. Like I said, it doesn't take much courage to say the most vile things behind a computer screen. So they can keep saying that, and they don't have to be affected by it the way that you then are affected by it if you keep trying to respond to everything. And so actually it's a way to bring you down, and it's a way to make you weaker. And so you don't have to respond to everything, and sometimes responding will actually make you weaker. So if you can walk away, that's actually a much stronger thing to do.
Oh yeah, well said, man. Well said. Again, Angelina's just gotta get to her dad, just be like, Dad, shut the fuck up. You're making the whole family look bad. Just shut the fuck up.
Exactly.
Exactly. All right, so now we're gonna go into chew on this. We're gonna continue our. Of course, the last episode we didn't continue this, but which, by the way, should be uploading around the same time as this episode is uploading. Had a little technical difficulties.
Yeah.
But we're looking at when should a fight be stopped, and this time we're going into mixed martial arts.
Nice.
Takanori Gomi versus Nick Diaz at Pride 33, and this is really one of Nick Diaz's best fights of all time. This is up there with the fight with Robbie Lawler and the rematch with KJ Noons. Sorry, burping. But it took place at Caesar's Palace, Las Vegas. Pride's venture into the U.S. Of course, after this, they did one more show, and before they were bought out, and then eventually went out of business. Mm-hmm. But that first round, man, it was just bananas. I mean, like they were just going at it, and Gomi actually knocked him down at one point. Mm-hmm. Then, Diaz got a cut opened, and then Diaz got up, and throughout the remainder of the round, Diaz was just dominating Gomi. He was just popping him off with all these shots. It's just pop, 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 pop,
Yeah,
pop,
exactly, exactly. And like, yeah, I mean, there were some definite moments. You know, I was glad that this one was only 2 rounds. It was interesting to see. But the rest of the ones we've done like kind of went on longer. But yeah, this one was interesting to see how they like wrapped it up and whatnot. And the crazy thing was that you could tell that he was a lot more in control and whatever, and so it was actually the guy who was bleeding was the one who was dominating, right?
Oh yeah,
he had, like we said, we had a cut on both eyes.
he had a cut on the left eye, and then later on the other round, he had a cut underneath his right eye, and
And yeah, there was that point where they were against the ropes, and then anyway, there was actually, you saw it was a weird angle because you couldn't see Diaz's face, but you saw Gomi's arm, and anyway, you saw a bunch of blood running down Gomi's arm, and so if you didn't know, you would think that it was him that was bleeding, but no, it was from Diaz's eye into Gomi's arm.
And Gomi was like exhausted because the thing is about Nick Diaz, and Joe Rogan said it best. His punches. He's not a knockout puncher or anything like that. He's a volume puncher, but those punches, they zap your energy. I mean, it's just you're just he's doing the pat 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 pat. And sometimes he'll even slap you, like a slap boxing,
Right, exactly.
And you're just like, and all of a sudden your energy starts zapping, and
yeah, we noticed that Gomi kept on not using his defense. He kept on bringing his arms down. Which is something you don't do.
Yeah, and then he was all trying to do the Mayweather,
right.
like trying to do the Mayweather thing, the shoulder roll.
Right,
but you can't do that.
He was more like this.
Yeah. He's just like, what the fuck? Why am I seeing stars? Why am I getting blasted?
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, even though he thought he could do something, I mean, you let down your guard. He didn't have most of the time after he got punched, he didn't have his arms up like this. That was something I like I said, I've barely done this stuff, but I learned in Kickboxing 101. Keep your arms there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And plus the way Nick Diaz was throwing those head kicks, it's like, I mean, Nick Diaz has a background in karate, but it was more like throwing it up there just to land it. There was like really no like real technique, like head,
yeah, exactly.
It was just
so there's
like,
2 different times where he threw a kick,
yeah,
and
was just like,
it was pretty much yeah, exactly. It was pretty much just a whoop whoop. Yeah, whereas he could have done a complete barrel roll and just. And that would have been good, but this was more like just a whoop whoop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and everyone said and everyone was saying like, oh, don't stand with Gomi. Gomi's gonna knock you out, and I mean, Diaz was able to stay in there and just and his boxing is much like Alexis Arguello, the old boxer from Nicaragua from back in the 80s. He wasn't a knockout puncher either. He was just 1, 2, pop, 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 and eventually, he would wear you down, and there wasn't much force behind it too. But that was a good thing. It's like it wasn't like a Mike Tyson thing where you like tensed up and grit your teeth and it was just mechanical. It was just like. And then later on, Gomi brought him down to the ground, and Diaz did the go-go plata on him. Yeah, exactly. On him, choked him out.
We were talking about that, which I didn't know much about it, but yeah, there's so this is actually pretty much by the hold, that he got him in the end, and so that's always interesting, but yeah, so I mean. I don't know what he would have tried to do. I mean, Gomi did have the upper hand for where he was at. He was he was coming in like on top of him. But yeah, once he got his legs up and did the go-go plata, it was over.
Yeah, barely anybody gets out of that submission hold, and of course it would have been a more greater victory had Diaz not later on tested positive for marijuana. Because, like, after the fight, the drug test, it came up that he tested positive for marijuana, and the fight was ruled a no contest. And it's kind of funny now because, Nick Diaz, he did get a 5-year suspension from his fight with Anderson Silva for testing positive for weed. But then he reappealed it, and they said like he was suspended for like it was like a year, like 19 months. He got it down to 19 months. So
that's weird. That's weird to me because like I understand you shouldn't approve of any drugs being used, this and that. But I mean, it's like marijuana. It's just like it's not a what's the word? Performance enhancing. It's not a performance enhancing drug.
Yeah.
In fact, a lot of people would say it's exactly the opposite of that. For me, it does have a kind of hypering effect, when I have smoked. But but I'm different from a lot of people. Most people, have a decrease in energy, a decrease in alertness, this and that. It's for the general population, it's like almost the opposite of a performance enhancing drug. Like, I mean, if you really looked at that, it should be commended for still doing so well, being alert on marijuana.
Yeah, well, I think with because it was the Nevada State Athletic Commission, especially with mixed martial arts and especially the UFC. I think with the UFC, because they have the new USA like doping agency and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. After the whole controversy with not only steroids but testosterone replacement therapy, they want it to be as clean as a whistle. And matter of fact, Yo Romero and he just got busted for they haven't said if it's steroids or not, but he just got busted. Mm-hmm. So it's they want it to be a well-oiled machine. No, they want it to be as drug-free as possible. They don't want it to wind up like baseball, where then the fighters are going to have to go to Congress and before Congress in front of politicians and Yeah, in fact, for a while that was a joke. I said one time when I got the honor roll, I said, when I was in front of a math problem, I was as nervous as a baseball player in front of a politician.
Right, exactly. So yeah, I mean, I understand that. But it's funny. It is one of those things where I understand their reputation. I understand it should be an equal playing field. I mean, that's kind of what we get down to. Yes, it should be an equal playing field. But I mean, to me, the idea that you're going to completely eliminate drugs from the equation, especially on the fighter's off time, is it's not true. It's a bit hypocritical.
Well, I think there should be a wiggle room for medicinal marijuana because. Medical marijuana, it's proven wonders. I mean, especially now when you look at football players with the concussions and walking around with limps, or basketball players walking around with limps. I mean, Michael Jordan has tendonitis in his knees and stuff like that. It's like, hey, if smoking a joint can help a player or an athlete with their pain, hey, let's allow them to do medicinal marijuana.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. And then, the other thing is the drugs that they would society would prefer you to have are actually a lot more dangerous. You can get hooked on pain medications. I'm a pharmacy tech. I know I have to check people all the time if they have a correct ID and blah blah, because you can get hooked on these pain medications, and that's just as dangerous, if not, in my opinion, a lot more dangerous than marijuana. And it's just so much more expensive. It's so much more expensive for the patient, as well. Most of the time, these drugs in pill form, they say that's the best way because it's a good
lollipops
reputation.
And brownies.
Right,
cookies.
exactly. Lollipops, brownies, cookies, and joints, so much less expensive and, usually just as effective.
Exactly. If they want to do it for medicinal reasons, fine. But as far as recreational, nah. If you want to smoke weed, you better have a medical card. And in a history of. And of course, they'll probably have to do a background check, with their doctors and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But as far as when the fight should have been stopped, I think that the referee did a great job. I mean, any other referee would have stopped it with those, especially with those two cuts. I mean, the one on the right cheek was much bigger than the one on on the eyelid.
Yeah, exactly. Like the one that spread down his arm, that was probably from the right cheek. I mean, he was just like streaks, you know.
Yeah, of course it wasn't affecting his vision, but
Right.
I think added to the one on that, you know, the referee would be like, "Oh, this guy's losing too much blood. Oh, we got to stop this."
Mm-hmm.
But
he was a lot more alert, at least in terms of defense and and the pack behind his punch. You know,
yeah, exactly.
He was a lot more alert than Gotti was. I mean, Gomi, sorry.
But yeah, you know, and as far as Gomi goes, you know, Gomi was really, you know, he was almost out on his feet. You know,
right.
The way he was just like he wasn't keeping his hands up. I mean, he tried his best to to stay in there, but you know, he was just getting outboxed. You know, I mean, Nick Diaz is actually both Diaz brothers are the top two greatest examples of boxing and mixed martial arts. I mean, their boxing is just phenomenal. And I mean, Gomi was just like on the ropes trying to do the Mayweather, but you know, of course, he couldn't do that shit.
Yeah.
So that was a good decision for the referee not to stop the fight. Again, as I said before, Mills Lane said it best. You know, as a referee, you only have a split second to make a decision, and it can be tough, man. Sometimes I do give referees a little grief. You know, there have been fights where I've looked at it and thought, that's bullshit. You know, that fight could have gone on. You know, but at the same time, being a referee, you only have a split second to make a decision.
Yeah.
Exactly. And also, Mills Lane also says, a referee, don't apologize for making a decision, because he says if you apologize one time, you're going to be apologizing for the rest of your life.
That's a good point. I mean, I guess the sort of unseen or untalked about challenge is that they have to deal with the fans and the fans' reaction to their decisions. So yeah, you're probably right. You know, that even if it seems like it wasn't a good call, you know, like you probably have to stick with it, because you can't back down to some fans now on one thing, and then later they'll be like, well, why didn't you do this? You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to be a referee, especially in mixed martial arts. I mean, I know that John McCarthy has like a school or something, where he teaches people how to be referees, and how to be judges too, to look at fights and judges. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's still a tough thing. I mean, the judges are more harsher on than the referees, because what the judges is like, for making decisions, it's like, well, you have monitors, and and of course now, like I said, there are classes on how to be a judge. It's like you should be able to get your shit together.
Right, totally.
Exactly, and it's a good fight. Look it up on YouTube, if you can. And of course, we're gonna look at one more other fight, and that will be the end of the when you should stop a fight. And this is gonna be a kickboxing match too.
Okay, good.
Yep, and we're gonna end it here. We have 2 episodes uploading, so like I said, due to technical difficulties, we couldn't upload last week's episode, so we're going to upload last week's episode and this week's episode.
Exactly.
And go to youtube.com/BloodyknucklesTV. Go to our Facebook page, facebook.com. Look up the Beantown Beatdown, which I'm going to have another blog up soon. And also, please...
comment, subscribe, all of it.
Exactly.
All that good stuff.
Exactly. So, from Beantown to your town, this is the Beantown Beatdown. Matthew Barris.
Gabe Shamus.
Saying, hold on, Happy Valentine's Day.
Nice. All right. Have a good one, guys.